We finally get to visit Starbase 80 with so many Easter eggs and references to past Trek episodes. This is a jam-packed review, so let's get into it. Well, hey everyone, I'm Nick and welcome back to Sci-Finatics. Well, Starbase 80 is our next episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 5, Episode 5. This episode has been a long time coming. They've been dropping references to Starbase 80 back in Lower Decks seasons ago, where they kind of basically branded it as the worst posting in Starfleet. It's where officers essentially go to be forgotten or go to have after having their careers ruined or something to that effect. It's the place you do not want to end up at. Mariner did a short stint of time there and obviously was terribly traumatized by her experiences at Starbase 80, and this week we're heading back to this location to see what it's all about. Our episode starts off with our lower deckers doing a bit of a debrief, getting out of their gear. They've been on an away mission to an ocean-based planet, and at the time you think it's sort of inconsequential, but it actually plays a important part in the story later on. It seems there's a bit of an issue with the navigational system, and we report into Cetacean Ops and find our whales in there basically saying that warp drive isn't functional. They can't navigate, they need urgent repairs, and the nearest starbase in range is of course Starbase 80. And no one is more horrified to hear this than Mariner, who does not want to go back there under any circumstances whatsoever. She even falls to her knees and screams no, very much in the, I guess in the style of Kirk yelling Khan almost, where she falls with, no, I can't. It was a little bit Khan scream-esque, her objection to heading to this infamous location. Next we find the transporters are not working on Starbase 80, which doesn't surprise me because the place seems to be falling apart at every corner, but it gives us a nice little reference to the old decon chamber from Star Trek Enterprise, where we always got scenes with T'Pol and Trip and everybody else, Hoshi and everyone getting lubed up and rubbed down with decon gel for shameless ratings points in Star Trek Enterprise. And it seems that they've gone down this road, which, is probably past due, I think. I think it was always a part of Star Trek that kind of deserved a bit of parody. And it's good that the Lower Decks show finally got a chance to poke fun at that. Next we meet Cassia Knox. She's wearing an old Enterprise style uniform. In fact, there's a lot of things retro about Starbase 80. All of our Starfleet officers there seem to be wearing old Enterprise style uniforms, and the hallways and the technology and so forth on the station seems very much inspired by the original series in its art design and everything. A lot of the consoles, hallways, wall comms, turbolift controls, even the console on the bridge and the chairs on the bridge are right out of original series. They haven't obviously gone to any kind of effort to update that in terms of how it looked on, say, Strange New Worlds. It's right out of the 1960s. Next, we find out that there's a very large population on the station of Akamerians. This is an incredibly obscure Star Trek race. These guys only, to my knowledge, appeared in one episode of Next Generation. The Vengeance Factor was the episode from Next Generation. They had kind of blue face tattoos and some forehead ridging and so forth. These guys were incredibly obscure Star Trek race, essentially only ever seen once, I believe, in TNG. We had a bit of a walk down a promenade where we see a restaurant here selling Phos, which is the Akamerian dish that Riker shared with Utah. Riker called it
Phos a la Utah.
So a lot of Vengeance Factor references in this episode. We also get a look at a old Starfleet uniform clothing store, which features an array of different Starfleet uniforms from so many different shows. We've got the TOS original series uniforms, 2 different variations on Pike's Enterprise uniform, the one they wore in Season 2 of Discovery with the high collars, but also the Strange New Worlds uniform we see Shin Riley wearing. We've even got the costume from Ruck, the android from What Are the Little Girls Made Of from TOS. Here we've got a Star Trek The Motion Picture uniform, a Klingon uniform, one of these outfits worn by the Edo in that Justice episode of TNG, a Wrath of Khan style uniform, and then in the background an enormous mountain of red shirts from all these dead Starfleet security officers that have been murdered on the job. And next we find out there's something strange going on and the various crewmen are falling ill to some sort of zombification kind of illness where their eyes are glowing and they're drooling and dribbling, being completely incoherent. Gravity is not particularly working well on this starbase, so they've got to also fix the grav plating to get that under control. Whereby we meet our engineer, Gene Jakubowski. He's played by veteran comic actor Stephen Root. Stephen Root's been in so many different shows over the years. He's always been one of the very strong supporting cast in so many different shows. Next we see one of the, I think, only very few examples of ever seeing stairs on a starship or a starbase. They've got a big stairwell in the middle of this starbase, which is very low tech. And we meet the chief medical officer, who has half of a Tarchanan infection. That was the identity crisis virus that Geordie got infected with, and he turned into a bioluminescent lizard for an episode. It appears our doctor is kind of half infected with this. Next we find out that Cassia is an Elorian, but a very young Elorian. She's only 33, which basically, as Mariner puts it, makes you not any specialer than a normal person. Obviously, she's not 400 or 300 years old like, Guinan was. And there seems to be a discovery here that the comm badges are the result of the infection that's going around all of the crew. The aquatic away mission that they referenced at the start of the episode picked up some sort of a life form virus kind of situation, or sentient virus of some kind, which was infecting everybody. We visit the arcade on, they don't have a holodeck or anything on Starbase 80, they've only got an arcade. We've got Space Invaders, but with Enterprises versus Romulan warbirds. And Gene, our chief engineer, was kind of trying to con Freeman into doing all of his engineering work for him and using their slightly better technology to do all the repairs that he wasn't able to do because nobody responds to any requests on Starbase 80. The entire crew of the Cerritos appeared to be affected by this virus, which came from the whales from the previous away mission. However, it all kind of got solved very easily. All the doc needed to do was to knock unconscious the whale, and the virus thing popped out of the whale, and then as soon as the virus popped out, he put a bucket over the top of it. Everybody who was infected was reverted to normal. I kind of thought it was an interesting story, but I kind of found the way that it was solved happened very, very fast and very, very easily. There was no kind of challenge involved in solving it. They didn't have to undergo all that much adversity in dealing with all of the zombified crewmen and so forth that were roaming the ships, and a simple knock unconscious to the whale seemed to solve the problem. So I kind of thought that was a little bit of a cop-out. Just kind of all played out a little bit too easily, I thought. The grav plating gets fixed on Starbase 80, and Freeman and Ransom are left to do a bit of a bat cleanup in one of the cargo bays or something on the Starbase that has an infestation. All in all, I thought this was a fun episode. I thought it was a bit better than the last couple of episodes we've had. We had a lot of good references to a lot of original series stuff in its sort of production design and art direction in terms of the look of Starbase 80, along with references to Star Trek Enterprise as well, and a very obscure race in the form of the Acamarians or whatever back from TNG. So there's a few kind of cool callbacks in this episode. And the story, although I did think it was interesting with the whole infection and linking that back to the previous away mission, obviously because we don't get aquatic away missions very often, thought that was kind of a new, fresh idea. But the way it all got solved all just happened a bit too easily and simply for me, without any sort of challenge or whatever from the crew having to really kind of puzzle solve to sort it out. But what did you think? Leave your comment in the comment section and let me know what you thought of episode 5 of Star Trek Lower Decks, Season 5, entitled Starbase 80. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Finatics yet, be sure to do so. Click on that big subscribe button. Really helps the channel out. Subs are what keep the channel going in terms of letting the algorithm know that my content is worthwhile. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, please be sure to click on that subscribe button and also ring that bell, because a lot of people have said recently in some of my videos, oh, I've subscribed to your channel, but I'm not getting your videos in my YouTube feed. So yeah, make sure you ring that bell as well, because that alerts you to when I drop a video, so you can go and watch it. Because there's people who said, I haven't seen a video of yours for a while. Well, I'm making them every week, so they're there. But obviously, sometimes that YouTube algorithm does kind of screw you over a little bit. So please be sure to subscribe and ring that bell. Also, merch store, plenty of cool merch, t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps, stickers, plenty of cool stuff there as well. Sci-fi, Star Trek, you name it. Helps the channel as well. Be sure to pick up yourself a bargain, and they're always at very reasonable prices. I'll be back soon with the next video. See you guys soon.